Okay. Maseches Bava Kama. I'm sorry for the bad lighting in the back, but I have no choice until we get some new fancy room with a screen board. Yeah. Says the Gemara. This year's Leilu Nishmas Avi Meir Menachem Ben Akiva. Leilu Nishmas Rochel Bas Ben Zion Leilu Nishmas Rus Bas Sholem Sor Bas Moshe. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'Miskaven Chayev. The Mishnah spoke about a person who. I said Chavches Amud Beis. Bottom of the page, Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'Miskaven Chayev. The two dots. Yeah. What did we say in the previous Mishnah? We say if a person. Yeah, a person's kad, a person's jug fell and broke. Now the water, the puddle of water is there. The broken pieces are there. Another person was nitkal. Another person bumped into it, slipped into it. Chayev. We had Rav, we had Shmuel. Everything all very good. That was yesterday. Now we're talking about a different nakuda about Rabbi Yehuda. What did Rabbi Yehuda say in the Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda said a very interesting statement. This statement is going to be actually analyzed today, and we're going to use the whiteboard. Rabbi Yehuda says miskaven chayev if the person whose kad broke, then it happened, then the injury happened, and the person, the owner of the kad, is chayev. But if he had no kavano, then he's potter. The question is, what does kavano exactly mean? So as a akdama, I'll tell you, there are three levels here. Yeah, look at the board, and those that can't see the board, yeah, you can listen to me. Yeah, a person who's, excuse me, no, I should have said here, mezid, not mazid. Yeah, mezid. Yeah, let's say the person, yeah. There are three reasons why a person, three levels of guilt, so not guilt, of kavano, of intention, when your kad falls onto the sidewalk or the pavement, possibly. Yeah, either you did it b'mezid, you just had enough of it, you had a bad day at work, you're angry with someone, you took the kad, and yeah, then you heard even worse news, I don't know what, something from the government, and then boom, you actually, yeah, you got your Arnona bill, you just smashed the whole thing b'mezid. That's option number one. Option number three, I'm skipping on purpose, onus. It was complete onus, like we said yesterday. The sun melted my thing, my cod, absolutely unexpected. The cod was here a second ago, like a 2-year-old toddler. You see him here, he's not there anymore. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, you see, and boom, the whole thing crashed on the floor, and you have no idea why. The middle level is nitkal. Nitkal is a person who bumped into a wall unintentionally. He was spacing out a bit. He didn't notice it exactly. And we have a big machlokes. If you want, you can write it down. The machlokes we're going to see now, or the different opinions, is nitkal poishea or nitkal einoi poishea. That's the question. We see it also in Rashi. Yeah, nitkal is poishea. Do we say that a nitkal, a person who bumped unintentionally, is not completely mezid, not completely honest either? It's somewhere in the middle. Do we say he should have been looked more carefully? He should have looked at where he goes more carefully. By the way, I just want to avoid questions here. But we said a few days ago, a person is not expected to walk where he's to look where he's walking. That was regarding what? If he's a damaged party, and he says, excuse me, mister, you cannot put a board in the middle of the street or a whole bumpy thing in the middle of the street, and me as the damaged side, you cannot expect me to look wherever I go and you put your shtuyot there illegally. That you cannot say. Here it's the other way. If you know that you're walking around with a breakable, fragile kad, yeah, then we say maybe you should look where you're going. And the question is, are you a level of poshea or are you a level of onus? Do we say nitkal is like mezid, poshea close to mezid, chayev, or do we connect it to onus and we say, listen, it was not intentional? That's a question. Okay, we'll have another machlokes later. This is issue number one. Now, heichi dami miskaven. When Rabbi Yehuda said that Rabbi Yehuda is more lenient, Rabbi Yehuda is more lenient than Rabbi Meir, right? That's for sure. Now, I'd have both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda here. Okay, we'll manage. Rabbi Yehuda says only when he's miskaven and then the jug fell and everything broke and the whole puddle and the whole mess and everything was injured, that only by miskaven is chayev. But if it's not by miskaven, give him a break. Excuse the pun. V'sheiken lefi Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says no. Rabbi Meir, which was a Bava Kama, he says you always chayiv. Whether miskaven or not miskaven, you're chayiv. Okay. Now, hechidami miskaven. What does miskaven mean? What level of kavano Rabbi Yehuda is michayiv on? And he says if you're not miskaven, you're potur. Rabbi wants to say if he had kavano to, not kavano to smash it. That's not the case here. Yeah, says Rabbi. No, that's not the case. Of course, is miskaven b'mezid. Of course, is chayiv. Of course, he's chayiv, and no question. His guy's amazed, and look at the mess you did on purpose. You're angry with your mother-in-law, angry with the area. That's your problem. You don't have to smash it on the floor and let everyone slip on it. But b'miskaven lahorida, even if it was just nitkal, let's say it was nitkal, and at that level of nitkal, that is the miskaven. This is miskaven. The miskaven of Rabbi Yehuda is this. He is nitkal, which means he just bumped. As he was lowering the kad, he bumped unintentionally. Something happened, and he is nitkal chayev. He's chayev. Yeah, let's say X means chayev. It's a bad one. Yeah. Is miskaven, it's called miskaven enough to be mechayvim. In other words, Rabbi wants to say miskaven is what? Poshea, meaning nitkal is poshea. And if he's not nitkal, anything less than that, onus, then he is potur. Then he has a nice green tick over here, then he is potur. Amar Abaye, wait a second. Michlal, let's look at Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir is always mechayev one level more than Rabbi. So if he's mazid, now this is Rabbi Meir. Yeah, let's say this is Rabbi Yehuda, okay? This is Rabbi Yehuda, and this is Rabbi Meir. You see, Rabbi Yehuda versus Rabbi Meir. R-Y-R-M. Okay, to have some English over here to be yoitze. If he's mazid, of course, that Rabbi Meir is mechayev. Rabbi Meir is mechayev always one level more. If he's nitkal, of course. But onus, you want to tell me one level above the middle one is onus. According to Rabbi Meir, who's mechayev one level more, must be Rabbi Meir's mechayev by oinsim. That even if he was not nitkal, even if the thing just melted out of his hand, something the cham hashemesh v'nomas, it happened by itself. According to Rabbi Meir, you want to tell me you chayev even an oines? Even if it was nifshar, even if it melted by complete oines, yes, sir, yes, that's exactly what I want to say. Says Rabba. To who? To Abaye. Abaye challenges Rabba, and soon Abaye is going to win. Even if he's left with the ear, which means the handle in his hand, hey, it looks like some funny cartoon. Yeah, the whole thing melted. Oh, look. All is left is just the handle. What happened? I have no idea. Chayev, you're still chayev. Amai, why is that? You want to tell me, according to Rabbi Meir, you're chayev even if you're onus? Onusu, it's an oinus. Give the guy a break. The oinus lachmono patre. Famous line. Bava Kama kavches Amud beis. Oinus, the Torah, exempts people who are forced, who something happens to them out of their control. Dichtiv, as it says, baril oines, and I told you, oines in Hebrew means two different things. When you talk to an Israeli, you have to be very careful when you say this word. A yeshivish American who only knows the word oines from the Gemara should not say the word honest. No jokes online about it, but it can be very low naim. Like anus, anusa means raped. Think twice before you use this word when you talk to an Israeli. Seriously, I'm giving you a tool for, I'm not trying to be funny. So honest means rape, as we say here, and it says over there, don't do anything to the poor girl. She's married, but it was out of her control, of course. That's all the issue. On the contrary, she has to sue him for a lot of money. So you see, oines, the Torah patterns. We said yesterday, Odamod Lo'elam. Odamod Lo'elam has its limitations. Odamod Lo'elam means I should have been more careful. But if somebody went to sleep next to me and I had no idea and I bumped into him in the middle of my sleep, yeah, I stretched my hand, I'm not chayiv. Or over here, I was walking very, very carefully and I didn't know that the Sahara Desert sun can actually melt my kad. I'm honest. You want to tell me Meir will be mechayev even on oines, on the consequences later of the puddle and everything else? It says in the Torah not like that. Maybe you're going to tell me regarding Rabbi Meir's oines, hanimi le'inyan ktolo. Le'inyan ktolo. Maybe regarding executing a person, which is that woman who's an Ashes Ish, had it not be Be'oines, I would actually kill her, Mechayver Misa, that we pater the Miskena, the Anusa, Aval Inyan Ezikin Chayev. Maybe you're going to suggest, wait a second, maybe you want to tell me Rabbi is challenging Rabbi but trying to help him. He's getting Rabbi into a trap over here. Maybe you, Rabbi, want to tell me that yes. Rabbi Meir believes that an oines, you are chayev an oines. Yes, you chayev an oines. The girl who was raped, who was Nansa, Miskena, we're not killing her. Here, when it comes to money, I go back to good old Odamod Loilam, even to that level, even there. And yes, you're chayev. Is that what you want to say? Are you, Rabbi, suggesting that according to Rabbi Meir, there was a complete oines, and yet Rabbi Meir would be mechayev, and Rabbi Yehuda would obviously pater, because you're learning that Rabbi Yehuda's statement of miskaven, that esoteric statement, he's talking about nitkal. You want to say Rabbi Yehuda is machmir, that if I could have been more careful, middle of the road, I could have done better. I lowered it. I bumped. I didn't notice. I was clumsy. I was klutzy. On that, Rabbi Yehuda is mechayev. Mashma Rabbi Meir is mechayev one level more, right? Even an oinus. Otherwise, what argument? Is that what you want to tell me? I'll now disprove you. And so he does. Abaye will now, with the next brisa, is going to disprove Rabba. Okay? And we'll see how. V'atanya. We see now another brisa, which at the beginning seems very, very strange. We'll translate the beginning of the brisa. I'll explain it later, okay? And at the end of the brisa, that's where we're going to have the challenge against Rabba. The challenge which will prove to us, I'm telling you the plan. The plan for the next leg of the trip is to disprove Rabba and to prove that Rabbi Meir is not mechayev and oines. That's what we're going to do. Abaye will now prove that Rabba is wrong, and really Rabbi Meir in oines is not mechayev but poiter. Okay, but on the way there, we'll meet some interesting things. Okay, sorry. Okay, Vatanya, it says in the Brisa, Nishvel kadoi, a person's jug broke in the street, Veloy silkoi, and he did not take it away from there. We don't know for how long, but let's say there was enough time for him to get his act together, right, to be more resourceful, and he just left it there. Maybe the card broke by mistake. Oh, that's another question. So it started by oines, but eventually he just left it there, hit and run. Nofel gmolo v'lo midoi, another case. His camel fell and possibly died. Yeah. V'lo midoi, he did not try to bring the tow truck. The tow a camel. What do you do when your camel falls? You call the tow truck, right? That's what a week ago. Right? Yeah. Then my sister went to America in the 70s to a camp. So many girls that were sure that in Israel would drive on camels. We ride on camels instead of cars. There was a bunch of Americans living in America were sure that's a story. So in my camel, Baruch Hashem never died. But let's say your camel, Nofel Gemala, it was in the Midwest, my friend. Okay, Nofel Gemala v'lo mida. What? It was Nofel Gemala v'lo makes sense. Nofel Gemala v'lo midoi. The camel fell, and you just let it rot there, and everyone can bump into it, and they did. People bumped into your kli, bumped into your dead camel. Rabbi Meir, mechayev be'ezekon. Well, makes sense, right? Rabbi Meir says, you chayev on the nezek, mister. You should have lifted it. There are two issues here. The actual fall of the kad, maybe it's mezid, maybe it's shogig, maybe it's nitkal. The camel we'll discuss later, by the way. The camel may be a more interesting case. Let's leave the camel alone for now. 1 second. But the kad, there are two issues. Your kad fell, and you should have been more careful. It's important to know already now. Secondly, why did you pick it up? Hello, mister. You're responsible. Says Rabbi Meir. Hello. Mechayev be'ezekon. Rabbi Meir here too in the Brisa is strict. You mechayev be'ezekon. Maybe Rabbi Meir talks about a case of what? Maybe means even oines. Look at Rabbi Meir. X all the time. Rabbi Meir is mechayev all along. Maybe that's what he means in the Brisa also. It broke. You didn't pick it up. You're chayev on all accounts. That's what I would say. Maybe. The Chachamim are Rabbi Yehuda, by the way, in this case. Chachamim oimrim, pato midinodim chayev b'din hashamayim. Chachamim say, sorry, 1 second. 1 minute. Rabbi Yehuda says, pato midinodim chayev b'din hashamayim. He says, no. It's only a grama. It's only a grama. The fact that the thing fell and you didn't pick it up, you are not chabidin odom, only b'din shamayim. Why? We're going to see soon. Maybe I'm suggesting now, and I'm not going to be wrong. Maybe they talk about nitkal. Maybe they believe like this. Rabbi Meir says you're nitkal, you're chayiv. Yeah, but Rabbi Yehuda says no. If you're nitkal, you are potur, because when you're nitkal, it wasn't your fault. That's why you're potur. Now, all of you are going to ask, but why didn't you pick up the pieces later? Excuse me. Good question. We'll discuss later. Let's continue. Now it's going to be easier, and then we'll reread the whole brisa. I promise you, it's an easy one. Umoidim. So there's a certain case. Let's just call it X in the formula, a variable. There's a certain case. We don't know what. There's a certain case in which the kad fell and broke. Rabbi Meir says, like in our Mishnah, you're chayiv, and Rabbi Yehuda says you're potur. You only chayiv b'dinei shamayim. Now, why didn't he clear it up later? I promise you I'll discuss later. I'm going to clear the mess later. Okay? Now, look and listen to the continuation of the brisa. Umoidim chachamim Rabbi Meir. Chachamim admit to Rabbi Meir that there is a case where you are chayev. The avnoi sakinu masoi. You know those three sum. Shenichan berosh gagoy. You placed it on the top of your roof with no makeh. No railing, no protection. They fell in regular wind, which is expected. You didn't know it's a bit of a windy day. He lives in Chicago. He knows it's windy, and and they fell on someone's hand, or they fell onto the street and then someone bumped into them. In such a case, that's pshia. Everyone agrees you're chayiv. I'm now slowly changing the chart. Yeah? Let's say there's real pshia. Everyone agrees, chayiv, mezid or poshea. Poshea is the friend of mezid. That's a guy who is very negligent. Then both Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir all agree you are chayiv, right? Right? You're chayiv because either you're mezid or you're extremely uncareful. By the way, do you remember the very beginning of Bava Kama? You should all learn from Baruch to do Chazara. The very beginning of Bava Kama, we discussed the case of when you have a kad on the roof and it fell, and then someone bumped it into the street. It's a combination. It's a mixed breed of bor and esh, right? Esh is because it fell with the wind, gone with the wind. It's with the power of the wind, and once it's on the floor, it's bor. So l'maaseh you're chayiv. Everyone agrees you're chayiv. You're negligent. The kids are classical Bava Kama. Okay, very good. Everyone agrees to this case. You are poshea. Now listen to this. Umoide Rabbi Meir l'Rabbanon b'malek kankanin al agag al minas lenagvon. A person has kankanim. He has jugs, and he placed them on his roof in order to dry them out. Okay, after he washed them, yeah, that's his dryer. They fell in unexpected wind, some kind of crazy hurricane nobody could have think of. And then they bumped into someone's head. In other words, we see a case of oiness. Everyone agrees, including Rabbi Meir, that what? That he is potul. In other words, by mezid or posher, everyone agrees chayiv. By onu, such as I was very innocent to put some nice kankanim to dry, a very careful, very nice housewife, and then boom, unexpected hurricane came. Everyone, including Rabbi Meir, agrees potter. So what are they arguing about? Must be by default. Look at this formula. When they argue, and Rabbi Meir is more machmir than Rabbi Yehuda, must be that's the middle case of nitkal. And Rabbi, you are wrong, says Abaye, and I'm right. Must be when Rabbi Yehuda says nitkal, he is not mechayv nitkal, and it's not the miskaven. We shifted it because it proved it from the brisa. Must be nitkal. According to Rabbi Yehuda is good, and according to Rabbi Meir, it's not good. The nitkal. They argue whether nitkal poshea or nitkal not poshea. And Rabbi Meir says nitkal is like a poshea. Nitkal, if you bumped, you should have been more careful. You're carrying a thing on your back, and I'm so sorry, I was clumsy, I was klutzy. Say sorry to your high school teacher, not to me. And then what? And then nitkal, according to Rabbi is chayiv. Well, Rabbi Yehuda says nitkal potul. No, he has no kavono. But therefore, must be Rabbi Yehuda's statement of miskaven. So who's the miskaven that Rabbi Yehuda is mechayev? This miskaven. This is the miskaven. He's the one. The miskaven mentioned in the Mishnah that says of Yehuda, only miskaven is chayev, means miskaven, kipshuta, bad kavano. The guy just saw his arch enemy, how do you say? Arch enemy? Arch enemy. Arch enemy, he sees him walking, his nemesis, breaks it, kavano, or he's making a scene, he's making a movie. He breaks it on the floor, only then he's chayev, according to who? To Rabbi Yehuda, as opposed to nitkal. Well, Rabbi Meir is machmir one more level, not only mezid, but also nitkal is chayev. And they argue nitkal poshea or nitkal lo poshea. That's Abaye, and that's the case of the jug, and the case of the camel, and the case of our Mishnah. Let the Gemara say it. The Gemara says it much better than me. Oh, the Gemara continues. Don't let me off the hook. Remember the case of the Braisa? What was the case of the Braisa? The camel died, and they left him there without giving proper a burial, funeral. The animal organization is going to be angry with him. Not only them, also everyone who bumps into the camel, right? What about the jug? It fell, and he just left it there. What's going on? They argue on two issues and two accounts. The argument between Rabbi and Rabbi Yehuda are regarding two things. A, pligi b'shas nefila. They argue about the time of the actual fall, why it happened, to what level of degree is chayev, upligi le'achar nefila, and the pligi about the post-mortem, about post-fall. What happens after the fall? Are you mechuyev to pick up the pieces or not? Wait. Pligi b'shas nefila b'nitkal poshea, as Baruch Hashem we explained. Machlok is number one, and that's going to be the halacha. Machlok is Rabbi Yehuda is nitkal poshea. He's a person who's nitkal. He's not the worst, but not the best. He's middle of the road, bumped. He could have been more careful. So. Malsova nitkal poshea. Who believes nitkal poshea? Rabbi Meir. Remember, Meir machmir. Rabbi Meir is machmir. In this sugya, not always. Rabbi Meir machmir nitkal poshea. Mister, you should have looked where you're walking with your nice big jug over there. You didn't. You're poshea. And noch, you didn't pick out the pieces. Pay full price. Umal sova nitkalav posheahu. Rabbi Yehuda says no, give the guy a break. Rabbi Yehuda says lekula, no, nitkal is not a poshea. Nitkal is just a mistake. He can't call it pshia. He couldn't have known. He slipped. Out of his control, and that's okay. Now comes the second machlokes, pligi lachar nefila b'mafkir nezokov. Which means this is not like Rav Shmuel, but similar to yesterday's Rav Shmuel. Mafkir nezokov, what's the story of Mafkir nezokov? Let's say the person says, those pieces are mine, and I want them, and I keep them here, and he keeps them on the street. He could have taken them, but he now wants some time to have his coffee, recuperate in the next gas station, or maybe in a petrol station, either, whatever he prefers, yeah? And he drinks his coffee for half an hour, and meanwhile, people are falling apart. People are bumping into it. So now, if he's mafki, if he says, I'm the owner, he's angry with them. Why did you bump into my broken pieces? It's mine. Then we say, Mister, everyone agrees you're chayiv, no question. The question is mafkir nezokov. Let's say he says, listen, I'm sorry it happened. I'm mafkir, it's not mine anymore. At the beginning, I dropped it by mistake. Secondly, once it's already on the floor, it's not mine. I have no interest in it. I didn't place it there. I mistakenly dropped it there. And the second when they fell, I am potter because I'm not interested in those nizokim. I'm not interested in those pieces of this water. Now, 1 minute. Mar sova, which is Rabbi Meir, mafkir nizokov chayev. Mar says, or Meir says, I don't care. Even if it's not yours, you're chayev. Why? Because again, he learns the classical case of bo is a person who's mafkir everything. He's mafkir, he places something in the street or digs a hole in the street, digs a hole, or he digs a hole in his domain, and he's mafkir everything. That's what Rashi says. I dig a hole in my yard, and then I was mafkir the yard. I'm a nice guy. I want the kids to play around, and it says all the kids of the neighborhood can come to me, but I forgot to cover the pit. That's bow. You created those shusarabim around the bow. On that, you're chayev. Mafkir nezokov chayev. Umar sovar potu. Mar sovar potu. Mar sovar. Rabbi Yehuda says you're potur. Why? Why does Rabbi Yehuda say you're potur? Says Rashi, because the classical case of the Torah is that you're mafkir the domain, but not the bow. You said to the kids, everyone can come and play. It's hefker welt. He's making a new amusement park called Hefkerveld. That can happen, yeah? But the ball in the middle remains his. Then he's chayiv. But if everything became hefker, then he's potul. Now, let me explain something. You may still ask this, how can I wrap my mind around it? The guy's irresponsible, right? Why didn't he pick up the pieces? Who cares whether it's his or not his? With all due respect to all the psukim. Explains Baruch Hashem I saw yesterday inside the Mukhe Yosef, which unfortunately I can't see you, I can't show you. Can you be a real big acrobat and try to bring the door? It's right there behind the Corona Mechitza. Can you like... Sit. Oh, sit down. No, don't be torach. No. Please have a seat. I mean, nicely. I mean, thank you very much. I appreciate the Cherry Hill Rebbe. Now, explains the Mukhe Yosef, listen to me carefully. Says Mukhe Yosef Azoi, if a person placed something in the street, yeah, even though it's hefker, of course he's chayev. That's bo. Yeah, I placed something in the street, lechatchila, b'meizid or b'pshia. I placed it. It was my fault. Meizid. I broke the jug. This guy broke the jug and left. Of course he's chayev. That's bo. However, here the case is different. Why? Yes. Even if he's mafker. Explains the Mukhe Yosef, we saw many times in halacha that a bad guy, so to speak, can fall between the cracks. Meaning we don't blame him, we don't take him to court. Why? Because at no given moment, you can have the camera taking photo and say, at that moment he's chayiv. Remember the guy that dropped something valuable from the top floor of Sears Towers? Okay, today we're into Chicago, Midwest, if you noticed. Yeah, we give honor to that. Yeah, from Sears Towers, yeah, it used to be a very tall building. And then what? And oops, he drops it all the way down, but underneath there are lots of mattresses. Yeah, and then, but quickly, somebody is calling the guy downstairs and says, now what do? You remove the mattresses. He's not chayiv. Why isn't he chayiv? Even if it's the same guy who managed to be in both places. Yeah, Superman. How? Why isn't he chayiv? Because at no given moment he can be chayiv him. When he dropped the jug, what happens? He's dropping it on nice cushions. He's not doing anything bad. And when he removed when he removed the cushions and the mattresses, he just removed it. It's a groma. A lot of Rishonim argued, they said it's garmi, you're chayiv, but they also said you're potter. The Gemara Master said potter. Why? At no given moment you can say, now he's doing ma'aseh b'yadayim. At the beginning, his killer is no giri, there are no arrows, and at the end, I'm just removing a mattress. I'm not even touching. Same thing over here. Because at the time of the fall, it was what? According to Rabbi Yehuda, it was nitkal or kol sheken onus. At the time when it fell, I had absolutely no intention whatsoever to drop it. I did not place a bow there. I did not place a boar in the street. It happened by itself to a level that I'm potter. Later on, it's killing out my boar. The second it falls, oh my gosh, I'm afkir. I'm not an tipish. The water is dirty. The shrapnel, the pieces are just broken pieces. I'm not that poor. Hefker, Mimela, although the guy is, please do not suggest him as a shidduch to my daughter, because I don't think it's nice that he's behaving in a very friendly way, but there's no one given moment we can say, now we got you. When it fell, it was unintentional. When it was already on the floor and people were approaching, at that point it was completely hefker. So Mimela, there's not one point where you can say he's placing it or mafkir it or anything. The whole thing from beginning to end, both photos you can show based in, figuratively speaking, are a matzav of ptur, according to Rabbi Yehuda. If you don't follow Rabbi Yehuda, we have Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says no. Rabbi Meir says, I don't care. Lamaisi, you have something on the floor? Yes. You caused it somehow? Yes. Mimele, you are chayiv because you did not remove it. A few more lines and then I'll hear a question, Jeffrey. Umimai, how does Abaye know? I'll promise to listen to you. Umimai, how do you know that really there are double barrel machlokes here? B'diktani talti, because it says two different scenarios there. We say either he slipped into the water or he was injured, he was damaged by the chasis, by the pieces of clay. It's the same thing. Why don't you start giving me 10 other examples? Wine, grape juice, shrapnel glass. Why the extra example? Usually the water, not always, water is an example for there was a waterfall. At the time of the actual fall, the guy's in a camel, let's say, with the jug and the whole thing bumped. A guy got a nice shower, but not a clean, good one. That's at the time of the fall. Or he fell, meaning no, he bumped and he damaged himself with a charsis, with the pieces of clay. That's la'achar nefila. That happens after the fall, after it breaks. It doesn't break mid-air. It breaks on the floor, right? And from Meir, we see that two machlokesim. Machlokes number one, nitkal poshea or not poshea. Machlokes number two, after all said and done, let you bumped, yeah? And then now it's there, and you say, it's not mine. It's not my suitcase, as the Bala Musa say the story. It's not my suitcase, not my issue. I'm mafkir. Everyone can take it. Maybe this water worth a lot of money. Maybe can make nice arts and crafts out of the cod. I'm mafkir. Bimelo says, I don't care. That's bo, you chayiv. Rabbi says, no. Rabbi says, since it was a mistake and at no given moment you are strongly connected to it, Bimela, you are what? You are potter. I want to stress again, Rabbi Bell, that what did we say at the top of the, look for a second, the top line of the Amud. Oh, even Rabbi Yehuda agrees this is not a good guy. Not only he won't get my daughter for shidduch and she's a good girl, also, yeah, also when he comes to Shamayim, he'll have an unfriendly welcome because it's chai b'din Shamayim like any groma. It's at least a groma, right? Maybe even close to Yomi, maybe, I don't know. The Maisa groma is chai b'din Shamayim. The Kitzer sees it as a groma and not as bo. Rabbi Yehuda. Of course, I mean, there's more Michael. Yes, what's your question? Oh, you still have the question? Or was it answered by... Yes, I'm listening. Okay, let me just explain. Yes, okay, sorry, thank you. Also true. I assume he has to have real hefker. Yes. In other words, as the thing was falling down, the guy's a Talmid Chacham, he's been to Amud Yomi, and he says, I'm afkir. He catches quickly 3 people, ASAP, before anybody comes, and he says, I'm afkir, it's not mine. Then he goes, sips his coffee, and we'll see him in Gehenim. Yeah? In Shamayim, he'll be judged. In Olam Hazeh, it's not Yidei Odom, it's not under bor. If it's not under bor, it's groma. You remember what I told you the very first day? 3 out of 4 of us Nizikim are all groma. If I sip my coffee and learn my Torah, and my dog is biting half a neighborhood, me'ikra din, that's groma. The Torah is mechadish keren, right? Same thing with bo. Bo is always groma, unless the Torah is telling me it's bo. Then it's out of the din of groma. Rabbi Meir says, that's bo. Rabbi says, no, it's not bo. It's not what the Torah meant. Mimel is groma. If it's groma, I'm potter. On what? They're arguing 2 things. Nitkal, when it actually happened by not b'mezin, not b'oines, but middle of the road bumped, could have been maybe more careful, or Meir Mechab Yehuda Potter. And also, if at that second he was mafkir, the garbage that's left behind, also machlok, because Meir is still Mechab, Rabbi Yehuda still Potter. Okay? Very good. Thank you for asking. I think it's clear now. Zog the Gemara. By the way, the line starts with the word braisa, a little bit above the middle of the Amud, I think. I can't see the entire Amud here in Zoom. In any event, which means, okay, yeah, still more room for questions before we continue. And then I prefer no more questions. Yes. Say the Rishonim, according to Rabbi Meir, you only chayev from the moment which you can get your act together and get the chorosim. If you're injured or shocked or anything, we give you that amount of time until you can get your act together. And then, according to Rabbi Meir, if you're already nice, healthy, bandaged, whatever, you spoke to a shrink, everything is good, the other guy went away, and you're having your coffee nicely, and you're just enjoying, you just watch the charsis on the floor with absolute no excuse. At that point, according to Rabbi Meir, you're chayiv, but true only then. Very good. Weiter. Okay, thank you for the order. But your questions make me explain it better. Now, if the Mishnah spoke about a double machlokes, what? The time of the fall and after the fall, the brayso that spoke about the kad and the camel, or good old camel, also speaks about 2 different issues here. The actual fall, is the fall my fault or no? And also after the fall, I didn't pick it up because it's not mine, yes or no? Okay, but now, question arises. The kad, I can understand, the kad may have been my fault. I bumped into something with my kad on my shoulder, and it is or is not my fault. And also, what happens if it don't pick up the pieces in the water? Another machlokas. Ela gamloi, or gemoloi, the camel story, yeah, that happened, that's also a question. How does it make sense? The story of the camel makes sense after the fall. The camel fell, died, he's now in a vela, and I leave him there. I don't call the tow a camel truck, yeah, but what? I leave it there. Rabbi Meir says chayev, Rabbi says patu, if somebody bumped into the hump, yeah, then what? Machlokes Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Isn't that a nice title? Bump into the hump. Yeah, okay. But at the time of the fall, how could that be? When the camel actually falls down unexpectedly, how can you ever blame the person? We're saying nitkal is chayev or potter. Says Omer chayev. How can Rabbi Meir be mechayev me if my camel got a heart attack? Or my camel bumped into something and fell. It's not my fault. I'm not even riding it. I'm walking behind the camel. Or even riding a camel, there's a limit how much you can control an animal. The animal bumped. The animal started running like crazy. It can happen to the best horse rider, or I don't know about camels. Yeah, the animal, I'm not even sitting there. The animal goes crazy or bumping or this and that. How could you ever blame him for his camel bumping? Omar Avacha, it says Avacha, I have an answer. Going the ovo be maya derech sharato de nahara. You crossed the river with your camel, right? Nachal Ayalon, not Nachal Ayalon, real river, with your camel, and there was like an extra, not much like tide, there was like extra area where the river goes beyond, it floods a bit, goes over the regular borders of the river. Yeah, and you walked in that area, not in the river, you walked in that like marshy area, and that's what the animal slipped over there. And that's the story. Says the Gemara, how's that an answer? What's the story? If he had another way of going, and he could have circumvented the whole river, including the extra puddly, marshy area, and he just chose, because of laziness, to take a shortcut into a more slippery road. Pasha! He's a pasha. Then he's not a nitkal. He's not the middle of the road cute guy. It's a pasha. If there's no other way, that's the only way, yeah, to go through that river or that slippery area, onusu, then for sure is an onus. We're looking for the middle of the road case. We're looking for a nitkal. When do you have nitkal by a camel, that's not onus and not pasha, it's yeah, mainly me, I can control my movements. Says Rabbi Meir, hey, mister, control your movements at any moment when you have the card. But if it's a camel, how can it control these movements? There's a limit. Listen to this. You can find the case. The atkil, that kila be gamlo. Atkil means the person himself was walking ahead of the camel, and he himself bumped into something. He didn't realize he has a caravan of camels behind behind him, yeah. And now he bumped into something, and he should have known better. And then there was, I don't know how to say it in English, there was a chain crush. How do you say to natural share it? No, chain accident. Domino, yeah, chain reaction of it's called teunat shalsheret. Teuna of shalsheret, chain reaction of an accident. I know chain reaction. Chain reaction accident. No, in Hebrew there's a special word, yeah? In other words, there was a chain crush, chain accident, boom, and then the camel, and then another guy bumped into the camel. So Lamai said, this is your fault. It's true that the camel bumped and died because he crashed into you, but you yourself, you got stuck and it's your fault. And the camel bumped into you and then fell on the floor is your fault. If you say nitkal poshea, if you don't say nitkal poshea, it's you who's nitkal, and the camel is a result of you. Mimela says Rabbi Meir, you're chayev, nitkal poshea. Rabbi says nitkal eno poshea. Very good. So both camel or kad or anything you want, machlokes whether nitkal poshea, not poshea. Give me the nachas of finishing the Amud once in my life, and then I can hear all the questions. We have 5 minutes. Zog the Gemara, mafkir nezokov my miskaven ika. Remember the magic word? We erased it. But the word we started the share with was what? Miskaven, right? Rabbi says only when you're miskaven, yeah, then you're chayev. What does it mean, Lamaskon, according to Abaye? If you're miskaven, bemezid. You miskaven, yeah, you mamish crushed it on the floor. You dropped it on the floor. Yeah, you thought it's, I don't know, the Egel Azov, Shnei Luchas Avris, I don't know what you thought. You crushed it on the ground. If you dropped it on the ground, you chad. That's miskaven. But if you're not miskaven, you're just a nice guy who's clumsy and klutzy, and then expect it, according to Rabbi Yehuda, nitkal, not posher. Very nice. But the word miskaven should also apply to the second machlokas, right? You're telling me there's also machlokas of lacher ma'isa, post nefila. Post-mortem, post-nephilium. After the nephila, what happens? Says Rabbi Yehuda, nish geferlich. But then, how does the word miskaven, not miskaven fit into there? Which kavanah are you talking about? Mafkir nizokov, my miskavenika. You're saying because he's mafkir, he says in front of three people, I'm not interested in the chawasim. Which kavanah is there? Amav Yosef, very easy, very easy. I can definitely connect the word to the story. Very simple. Miskaven to have zchus. If the person is miskaven to own the charasim, and he told people can prove it by Edim. The thing fell, and he says, "Oh, Shrach, I'm so sorry, it fell. What an expensive thing! Yo, in half an hour, I'm going to have my coffee, have my drink, and this, and in half an hour, I'll be back here to collect the pieces. They're my pieces." Then, if it's miskaven this, even Rabbi Yehuda would say it's chayiv. Even Rabbi Yehuda, there's a limit. You still owned by you. Of course, it's bow. You have that bow. Mashenka, if you're not miskaven, if you say I'm mafkir, oh, this dirty pile of nothing, water, mafkir, mafkir. He tells three Yidden I'm mafkir, then he's potter if the fall was by mistake. That was Abaye. Give me a few more lines, and then we'll be at the end of the year, and we'll know that we finished the Amud. By my dream come true. Rabbi Elazar Omar. Rabbi Elazar wants to argue on Abaye, but that's going to be very short-lived. Rabbi Elazar has an attempt which we're going to basically nip at the bud. Omar, Rabbi Elazar Omar. Bishas nefila machloikes. Avalachar nefila mai divrei hakol potu. Rabbi Elazar wanted to say they only argue at the time of the fall, right? At the time of the fall, boom. And it was a nitkal, but Meir says if you bumped, you're chayiv. Rabbi says if you bumped, you're potter. But what can you derive from there? That after the fall, everyone would say that you're potter. Veikal Meir the mechayiv. Rabbi Meir for sure is mechayiv because the Brisa says loy silka lo he'emida. Right? He did not lift it. He did not take it. So we have some post-mortem matzav. The Brisa says he did not pick it up. We're not just talking about the time of the fall. We discuss what happened later. And Rabbi Meir says you're chayiv. Elamai divrei hakol chayiv. Want to tell me what? Everyone agrees that after the fall, we go to the other extreme, that he's mechayev. Even Rabbi Yehuda would say, hey, like I said originally, mechayev, responsibility. You dropped it. I don't care if it was a mistake. Mistake. Well, stop drinking your coffee. Start cleaning it. Is that what you tell me? That's a nice svara. But Veika Rabbanan de Patri. Sadly enough, Rabbanan say clearly that you're pater. Who's Rabbanan Rabbi Yehuda? Elamai, b'shas nefila, Af bishas nefila v'kamash v'lan kedei Abaye. Rabbi Elazar never meant it. Rabbi Elazar only meant to support Abaye. And he says, not only after the fall, also the time of the fall, which means, what's Rabbi Elazar mechadish here? Rabbi Elazar just made a cameo appearance and he comes back? No. Rabbi Elazar says, if you look at the Brisa superficially, it sounds like it's true. When we, be honest with yourselves, when we first read the Mishnah and the Brisa, we said, a guy dropped the thing, right? And then it was on the floor, right? And then somebody came. The Pashup Shat of the Brisa of the Mishnah is only la'achar nefila, not at the time of nefila. We don't talk about the jug falling on the person actively on its way down. That's what I would have thought. Comes Rabbi Elazar to support Abaye and says, no, we have two machlokas here. One after the nefila and one at the time of the nefila too. There would also be enough kamina. Let's say the guy's in a tall thing and a small baby will crawls underneath and he drops the jug on his head by mistake of nitkal. As it's falling down, on its way down, it's hitting the baby, the kid. Then there would also be a machlokas. Rabbi Meir says nitkal chayiv, Rabbi Yehuda nitkal patu. Of course, there's a machlokas also afterwards when people bump into the stationary matzav. But also when it's active and moving, there's also machlokas. At the end of the day, everybody's friendly. Rabbi is off the chessboard. Rabbi is out, but Abaye and Rabbi Elazar say machlokas but nitkal posher. And also what happens if a person leaves it behind with no intention of owning it. Was that difficult? It was easy. It's considered as in hard Amud, but I think it's Now comes the real deal, which is the peanut gallery. Yes, the shear is over, but the questions are on.
What do we say